Hi, it's Daniel from TrustGraph, and today I'm here to welcome you to the second in our series of webinars featuring innovators leveraging TrustGraph to build agentic AI solutions that are state of the art. And today we're thrilled to welcome Ishtiaque Mohammad, the CEO and founder of SowFin. Take it away, Rob.
In the world of investment banking and corporate finance, billion-dollar decisions are oftentimes made or lost based on human error and traditional spreadsheets and financial tools of analysis. And there's one company today that is utilizing AI for exactly this sort of thing, for corporate financial decisions and merger and acquisition teams. I'd like to welcome Ishtiaque Mohammad, CEO and founder of SowFin. Ishtiaque, welcome.
Thank you so much, Robert. Pleasure to be here, and good to see you again. Thank
Yes,
you.
likewise. So good to see you as always. Ishtiaque, let's dive right in. I'm curious about, SowFin is obviously a purpose-built AI platform for financial analysis, just on a very high level. I'm curious about some of your background in the financial world, because I see that you have background in computer science and finance and have done a lot of work with companies like Intel and Broadcom. Can you give me an idea of a little bit of
Mhm.
that history?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Robert. And I had it's a little bit of a unique trajectory, I would suppose. Like my original background is computer science and engineering, as you mentioned. And early on in my career, like I had quest for this like big picture view, and especially in semiconductors, right? You get to work on your piece of the logic and stuff like that. So I moved into the business development role, like customer facing roles early on,
Mm-hmm.
and then into like lot of strategic planning and marketing, biz dev, making business cases, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I got into corporate finance, which is like primarily driving investment decisions, making business cases, etc. And I got formal education in finance as well, so I can continue that trajectory. So yeah, that's how like I ended up in corporate finance. And as part of that, like I driven a lot of investment decisions at Intel, Broadcom, other places. So what's rewarding, like towards like the current moment of the trajectory, is that like I,
Mm-hmm.
I can help to like make a case for new products, and help drive define new products. Not only that, but also make a business case for it, right? Like what will end up being real world products. So it's kind of a happy marriage between technical background and business finance backgrounds.
Yeah. And being able to target specific problem areas
Hmm.
in the world of corporate finance. What kind of things did you see in your experience that were sort of red flags or maybe green flags in some respects for developing a product and some of the work that you're doing at SoFin? Was certain problem areas?
Hmm. Yeah, like I'll talk about some of the real world scenarios, right? And these are like structural things. Um, some are more prevalent at big corporations,
Mm-hmm.
and things such as like biases and unstructured way of driving decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this concept of value creation, right? So like corporations exist to create value, like I would argue, not only for the stakeholders, not only for the shareholders, but for all of the stakeholders, right? So now the focus gets narrowed down to the shareholders, but even there, right? A lot of the general managers and CEOs are driven by like either a quest for certain products and markets, or like competitive zeal, and like a lot of those things, but not necessarily grounded in financial rigor in a data-driven manner, right? Some of those things do exist, but even if we were to take a very rigorous, data-driven financial model driven approach, um, the issues that I've seen is like, one, it takes a very long time when we do this in a very manual manner, right? So
Yes.
a lot of the times your forecast is changing, your market dynamics are changing, the macroeconomic environments are changing, your competitive dynamics are changing. So you have to kind of factor this in as you're going through the planning cycle and do this modeling and analysis again and again, um, until you lead to this investment decision. Along the way, right? So this whole process is prone for human errors, because, like, we're manually entering things, and like
Yes.
human beings, right? We're prone to errors, like, missing digit here and there or some stuff like that. And I've really seen hundreds of millions of dollars of decisions based on flawed analysis, which we've uncovered only through postmortems, right, after the fact. So, um, like, when I talk to a lot of the CFOs and a lot of the decision makers, right? So that's one of the fears. That's one of the concerns that they have, right? Like, especially the ones that are very fundamental, very disciplined in terms of how they're basing their decisions, making their decisions.
Yes.
They're a little concerned, like, yeah, I'm looking at the results, I'm asking all the right questions, I'm doing all this sensitivity analysis, and I'm trying to look into this corner case scenarios and all that, right? But under the hood, if this, like, the foundations of the analysis are not correct, and there are, like, certain errors that are introduced into this process, like, that's a big problem, right? Like, I, as an executive, I'm not in a position to, like, it's like checking somebody's code, right? And that's the case with even the peers of the finance managers who are doing this analysis. Like, they don't necessarily go in and test the whole macros and take spreadsheets and stuff, and that happens sometimes only during postmortems. So yeah, those are some of the big issues that I've seen.
Yeah, and what might seem like a small flaw or a missing piece at a foundational level already begins to spiral out of control, obviously. Yeah. And even with good data, if it's not being, as you said, it can change over time. Some of my experience previously being in companies that were being courted by M&A teams, for example, you were seeing changes in forecasts and revenue expectations, monthly, weekly, so that it could change from, when the M&A team first comes knocking on the door till 6 months later when they're finally ready to do the acquisition. There could be some changes to that story that may be missed otherwise. How
Absolutely.
with SowFin, how are you building this platform without divulging, company secrets?
Yeah. No, I'm happy to share. One, like, like, through my own experience and also talking to a lot of my peers, right? So we know the pain points where, which are prone to human errors, right? Especially, building this models around, like, company valuations, comms, analysis of statements, so on and so forth, right? So what we've done is, like, we've automated a lot of those things using software, right? Very deterministic, right? So and also data integration. So the real-time data from your ERP, RM systems, FP&A. So we take those and we've automated a lot of those things. So that's one critical area, like, where we eliminate the scope for human errors, right? And the other problem is, as I mentioned earlier, right, the time it takes, right? It's pretty significant, right? There's again a couple of real world implications of this, right? Like, I'll quote a couple of examples. When I was talking to a mid-market investment banker recently, and they were saying, like, the volume of the deals that they're taking on is like the volume is a lot more than that they can take on. So in other words, they're leaving a bunch of business on the table there, because with investment banks, they're limited by core set of investment bankers. It's not like they can add, subtract investment bankers on demand, stuff like that, right? Um, that's one example. And other example is I was talking to like a lot of my friends at Google, Apple, Alphabet, etc., right? And the industry norm is like it takes 6 to 9 months to drive a decision because all of these processes are so manual, right?
Yeah.
So this is where AI enters into the picture, right? This is where AI helps, and we're leveraging all the good parts of the AI to automate a lot of these manual tasks.
Yeah. A lot of that due diligence and
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
if a company is resource constrained, obviously
Mm-hmm.
they may not be able to put as much into that
Mm-hmm.
as quickly as they would like, as
Mm-hmm.
you illustrated.
Yeah.
How did you find TrustGraph as a partner?
Yeah.
And how are they integral to what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a great coincidence actually. So I left my full-time job at Intel July of last year, and then you know, like I'd already laid groundwork for SowFin. I was pursuing that, but I wanted to integrate myself in the like the startup ecosystem here in the Bay Area, right? So I started attending a lot of the events because one, I wanted to come up to speed on a lot of the AI frameworks. Uh, so I wanted to leverage my technical background just to come up to speed on those frameworks, but also like go out and talk to a lot of the customers, right? So during the course of things, at one of the events, I bumped into Daniel, like you, one of your founders, um,
Yes, yes.
and we started talking. And one thing that resonated with me during our conversation is enterprise use case and the importance of like the security and the accuracy and all those things, right? Like
Right.
from AI point of view, right? Like I'm very I'm interested in a couple of things, right? One, real world use cases, right? And two, which we'll probably touch on later, is like force for good, right? Like I really care about the
Yes.
tech externalities, and it's an advocacy that I'm also pursuing.
Yeah.
So I found a lot of those things. A lot of those things resonated in me when I spoke with Daniel at that time, right? So uh, the purpose and the mission that he was on, like in terms of making sure that the AI deployments are secure and that the context engineering and the accuracy and all of that is spot
Yes.
on, just resonated with me. And
Mhm.
and over time, we met again and again, and we've exchanged thoughts and stuff like that. So um, yeah, like that's how I kind of came to know about knowledge graphs. And obviously we're using knowledge graph to improve the context.
Yes.
There's a merit to it. And last thing I want to add is in the space of AI, right? There's just so much noise, right? Like nine out of the 10 people that I
Yes.
bump into, right?
There
I
is.
don't know if there is like anything there. So but like what knowledge graph is what trust graph is doing is really amazing, right? Like I mean, this is this is where the rubber meets the road. You cannot have deployment of AI without this critical piece,
Right.
right, of technology. So
Yes.
it's super important. So that's what yeah. And I've gotten to know Daniel and become good friends. Yeah.
Yes. Good. Yeah. And you hit on some really good points there. The technology is there, and there's always that question, to what purpose does the technology serve?
Hmm.
Does it need to serve an overall good or not? And obviously, this can get very
Hmm.
philosophically
Yeah.
um, very deep when you begin to discuss this, but you're right. What are you doing with this data, especially
Hmm.
in the realm of corporate finance, such as what you're,
Hmm.
addressing?
Hmm.
Are, some of the aspects of TrustGraph, such as data sovereignty. I would imagine that's a big plus for the things that you're doing, on a global scale. Can you tell me a little bit about how you are addressing regulatory requirements? Sarbanes-Oxley, for example, is that part of what you are,
So
leveraging?
we're not we're not in advisory space, right? So a lot of those things
Right.
do not apply to us. But having said that, right, a lot of the analysis and everything that we're doing, right? So that's based on publicly available financial statements and a lot of the market research, so on and so forth, right? So that have
Yes.
already gone through a lot of this regulatory framework, and I believe like a lot of the regulations apply for companies that are giving financial advice. I mean, that's not what we're doing here, right? Like we're automating a lot of the things related to due diligence analysis and stuff like that. So, like, what is really important in our case is data sovereignty, like what you mentioned earlier, and then the data security, the AI guardrails, accuracy, predictability, traceability, explainability. These things are super important, right? Like, customers want to trust, right? Like, if I'm as a customer, if they're relying on SowFin for company valuation, right? I mean, like, how do I trust that, right? Like, how do I know like it's accurate and it's fundamental? It's the way that I would do, right? There's got to be explainability,
Of course.
right?
Of course.
And the data sets that we're using, right? Like, is it really secure? Can I trust this platform with my data, right? Deal room data, and two, like, is there like, is this data going for like some sort of like model training, or like is the analysis using the most up-to-date latest data? All of those things, right? Having the traceability.
Yeah.
So those are the things that matter the most, I think.
Yeah, those make us a very solid platform, such as what you're offering. Some of your team too. I mean, there's obviously a vast amount of experience on your team from the world of finance. Can you tell us a little bit about some of their backgrounds as well?
Yeah. So from founding team point of view, like I have a couple of co-founders. First is Suhail Ahmed. So he's got computer science background from ASU, and he has wealth of experience. He's done multiple startups before, and more importantly, he's just like great human being, right? Like, I enjoy working with him. So we also like Daniel, right? So there is that. So we care about same kind of things, right? Like responsibility, taking, like when you're building a technology, right? Like taking responsibility for like what it does, and and the value it's providing and all of that, right? So those are ingrained. So he was one of the early employees at Workday, and besides Suhail, I've also been very fortunate to come to know Akhil Hollis. He's my go-to-market and CRO, and he has wealth of knowledge on the corp dev and investment banking side of things. He has dual background, finance from Harvard and law from Yale, and he's one of the amazing things about him is probably one of the most authentic and genuine people that I've come to know. And just like Daniel, right, I've bumped into him at one of the events. We've gotten to know each other, and to the point that, like, we're so comfortable. We should work together, right? So
Yes.
So like when he leads on the GTM and sales side of things, right? So he can articulate a lot of the things with such authenticity, right? So
Yes.
just cut down all the noise and get to the pain point of the customers and all of that. So that's kind of the core team. But we're also blessed to have a lot of great engineers, right? It's not too many, but handful of them. But um, Darshan is one of them. He's our AI engineer. Like he's just amazing, right? Like between him and I and Suhail, like, we stay on top of all of the AI developments, like everything that's happening, where we can extract value and provide value to the customers and all. But yeah, so this is kind of the core team, and we have a few other amazing people as well on the engineering side of things.
No, it's important to have, like you say, you feel that authenticity there. That you feel comfortable working with them, and that you can put a fair amount of trust into them. That you're both, focused on the same things.
Yep.
Yeah. Outside of SowFin, any personal interests, things you'd like to share when you have free time?
Yeah, I have free time. That's the big question, right? Like,
Yes.
I guess in my previous life when I had free time, like, I like, there's a couple of interests that I would love to pursue, like, going forward as well. One of them is I'm a big coffee enthusiast. So, yeah, it's like I explore like all kinds of like coffee, and
Yes.
I would love to open my own cafe one day. So that's a dream that I have. So I've traveled to a few places just to explore the roots of coffee and stuff like that. That's one passion I have. And other is little, it's a little bit related, but it has to do with rare fruits, right? So we're blessed here in California, like we have such variety of fruits, right? So
Yes.
so I can get in the weeds of like all the varieties of fruits that we have, and I try to go to the places where we have like such this unique varieties of fruits, and it's one of the pleasures of the nature, I think, like blessings, and I take full advantage of it. So I grow a few myself, like a lot of the unique hybrids and varieties and things like that.
That's neat.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and last but not least, like I love to travel, but what takes the most precedence is spending time with the kids during the weekends when I have time, especially
Right.
these days. So quality over quantity, and a lot of that quality time goes towards the kids. Saturday is
Yes.
probably
Yes.
the only day that I get. Just I kind of block out completely, and my kids kind of dictate the whole schedule for the day.
That's it for the day. Yes.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. That's a wide array of interests. It's really, really, really cool. Yeah, with the coffee.
What about
I
you,
know.
Robert? Like, I would love to, like, do you have, what are your interests?
Oh boy, a lot over the years. Music. I like to spend a lot of time outdoors, hiking, and something that I got away from, when raising my family. And then in the last 5 years or so, my wife and I have gotten back into being outdoors and try to at least do one hike or mountain climb every weekend if we can, and
That's
as a
awesome.
way to maintain health and well-being. It's not only physical but also mentally, spiritually. It helps to clear the mind.
Yeah.
Being outdoors. So that I like to do that. I volunteer for some of the local hiking organizations in the area, like Appalachian Mountain Club, Green Mountain Club up in Vermont, that sort of thing. But like it's a younger family, that always takes precedence,
Right,
and
right.
have a lot of very nice memories of my daughter growing
Yeah.
up and spending
Yeah.
time with her, and over the years. So that's good, and we still see her. She's grown up now, but we still see her. But the same thing actually with food. We like to explore some of the local farms and get local fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables, that kind of thing. And it's fascinating because
Yeah.
sometimes at the farms they're growing things that you
Yeah.
can't get in the supermarket.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a world in itself. I agree.
Yeah.
Like, Next
heirloom
time you're here, like
varieties.
it's like we're at the tail end of the season right now, but next summer, like
Yes,
I can take you on like a little bit of a fruit excursion here.
yes.
It's a fascinating world.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. We're getting ready for winter, already
Mm-hmm.
here. So, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in the Boston area, so it's a lot of pumpkins, pumpkins and apples right now,
Yep. Yep.
and busy working too. Busy
Right.
working.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, what's next for you and the team over at SowFin? Anything on the radar, events or things like that that we should take note of?
Yeah, like there's a couple of exciting initiatives that are underway. Um, so first is we already have design partners, a bunch of VCs and angel networks that are working with us on our venture scope
Terrific.
product to
Yes.
automate their due diligence. Um,
Yes. Great.
and
Great.
equally exciting is we're opening up this product to the startups very soon because we want to level the playing field, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of the startups, when they're seeking the funding, they don't have investor perspective, like in terms of how they're gonna evaluate what are
Hmm.
the things that they look for in a startup, right? So it's a great opportunity for the startups to use our venture scope platform to do their own self assessment, and we can also talk to them about like how to get investor ready and all of those, right?
Yeah.
And the benefit for the VCs is that, like the startups that have already gone through our venture scope product and our SowFin platform, they're pretty much investor ready, right? So investors don't have to put in so much work in terms of due diligence.
Yeah.
It becomes easier for both parties. So that's
Yes.
something we're really really excited about. hmm And
That's yeah.
yeah, yep.
That's
And we
very
also have a great
interesting.
collaboration. Yeah, we also have a great collaboration with TrustGraph, and I think lot more is going to come out pretty soon.
Yes. Yes. I
And I'm
expect that.
super excited about that. Like especially for uh, big institutional investors like investment banks and corporate teams.
Yeah.
Like I mean, just the kind of synergies that we bring to the table is just like it's
Yeah.
fascinating. I think um, and I'm like so stoked about that opportunity. Yeah.
Yes. I agree. Myself as well. So
hmm
yeah. I think it's exciting. I think
hmm
what you're doing, reaching out to other startups too, and
hmm
working with them. I think that's great. That's
hmm
a great strategy as well. I think there's a lot of room right now in AI. I think where we may see things like this happening, where
hmm
companies are developing
hmm
certain products for AI that are very specific,
hmm
particular,
hmm
whether it's an industry or use case,
hmm
and aligning with other companies that are also in
hmm
that space.
hmm
I guess in some ways you could look at it as like an OEM relationship. It is and it isn't. I guess it's
hmm
slightly different. But no, that's great.
Yeah.
It looks like we're coming up on our time. It went by too fast.
Uh-huh.
Any other final thoughts or things you'd like to mention before we go?
Um, I guess the only other thought is like AI for good, right? Like I know you guys are passionate
Yes,
about this,
yes,
and so am I. So that's a common interest that we
yeah,
share, right? Like you can
yes.
probably it's a full topic in itself, right? Like we should catch up on this some other time, but um,
Oh,
I'm going
we
to be
can
taking up
certainly
some.
we
Uh-huh.
can discuss it now. I'd be happy to.
Yeah. No, like we'll
Really,
touch on it
yeah,
a little bit, like yeah, for good, right? Like there is this lot of externalities that we produce here from tech sector, right? Like one of the advocacies that I'm taking on is like instilling this like from the ground up, right? Like with startup founders and like a lot of the key principal engineers and architects at a lot of the tech companies, like uh, taking a responsible position, right? We've seen this through social
Yes.
media and many other technology deployments, right? But I think AI is going to turbocharge a lot of these things, right? So, um, like forming this force of like AI for good is really important, I think, to because like we want to see a better world for our next generation. Like we want to make sure that like
Right.
AI
Right.
is put for good use and not for like
Hmm.
just creating some dumb videos for doom scrolling and all of those things, right? Like
Right.
it's not going to add much value, right? So, so minimize those real world harms and um, create a value. Like for example, in our case, if investment bankers can do a more analysis and take on more work for themselves, or like corporations
Yes.
can make better decisions in terms
Yes.
of where they're investing, and also include a lot of other stakeholders into the fold. So those are good use cases, I think.
Yeah.
So so yeah,
No.
I'm also in touch with some of the professors and folks who are providing policy for the AI, so we can have guardrails from policy point of view.
That's
So
important.
I'm
Yes.
yeah, it's a way to give back, I think so.
No, I agree. That's fascinating, and clearly that could be the topic for another webinar. Maybe
Yeah,
it'll be
right,
forthcoming shortly. No, I agree. I
right.
think there's a lot there to talk about, particularly with
hmm
regards to policy and
hmm
yeah, AI for good.
hmm
We either like you say, there's a lot of noise, um, a lot of negative messaging in some respects, a lot of warnings
hmm
about AI, but the conversation about AI for good, how is it that I think that
hmm
gets overshadowed by everything else in the
hmm
noise. So
Right,
it's certainly
right.
there is applicability that I
hmm
think hopefully in the overall scheme of things it would be much greater for
hmm
the greater good as well. You know.
hmm
But I'm going to make a note of that, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll do another session together, and that could be the
Look,
topic.
yeah, I look forward to
You
that,
know,
Robert. That's an
a
area of
round
passion for
table.
me. Uh-huh.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, unless you have anything else you'd like to mention, Ishtiaque, it was a real pleasure seeing you again today and speaking with you. And thank you
Likewise,
so
Robert.
much for participating in our webinar series. And
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Robert. And
yes,
it's such always great to speak with you. So yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so
likewise.
much.
Yes, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right.
Bye.
You too. Bye bye.